Okay, today we're going to be doing brakes on my 2000 Accord. It's an EX-V6, and it's actually a coupe. So you can see here, this is the car we're going to do today. We're going to do the fronts on it. So it has disc in the back and in the front. So I acquired the brake pads. Part number right there. I like the Honda pads because they actually make a different compound for each vehicle, where if you go to like Checker or AutoZone or something like that, then they're different they're all the same compound no matter what car you have. So I acquired these. I do so much volume now that I just get shop price on all my parts. And then I just acquired the rotors. We're going to be replacing the rotors today too. It's getting expensive to lathe a layer off. It's called turning. It's about $20 for each rotor to be lathed. And so what they do is, since they are used, anytime we replace the pads, you want to turn them. So you get a nice smooth surface. You can see the detail in this. You can see the lines. They've been lathed. These ones are brand new, and I got them for $25, and they're good quality rotor. So this is for ventilation right here. And it takes 2 hours to do 2 rotors. So it's really not worth it to have the car apart for 2 hours. And if you don't have an extra car, then you can't really get them turned. So I just buy new rotors, and then I acquired the necessary tools. So I have sockets, my gloves, probably pretty hot since I just drove home. Extension I may need. I like the flex handled ratchet. You can see how long that is. The longer, the more leverage you have, obviously. And then I acquired some PV blaster. This is for rusty parts, and this just breaks them apart and lubricates them and brake parts cleaner. I'll use that to clean these new rotors off. These brake parts get pretty hot and then cold and hot and cold and hot and cold, and so they get pretty stiff sometimes and pretty rusted. So because they're exposed to the snow and the ice, the salt on the road, and heat and everything else. So the PV blaster definitely helps right there. So this tool right here, it took me forever to find out what tool the dealership uses to get these rotors off. And you can see, and once I get the car up in the air, you can see this is the tool right here. It's called an impact driver. And what this tool does is you hit it with a mallet, and they got a mallet right there. You hit it with a mallet, and you put in a screwdriver bit right here. They're actually a Phillips screw. You put the Phillips screw in the driver, and you hit it with that rubber mallet, and it turns and pushes in at the same time, so you can get the screw out. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. So Honda puts these screws. Let me see, I don't have them. These holes right here are for the screws. These are for the lug studs right here, right here, right here. There's actually 5 of them. But then these holes right here for the screws. So you actually have the screw that goes into the rotor and holds it on. And Honda does this to hold the rotor in the assembly line. But also they figured out that the rotor doesn't wobble as much on the road. Even if your tire is tight, your wheel is tight against the car, that they actually don't wobble, and you'll get as much vibration. So they decided to leave them in, and the dealership actually just puts new screws in every time. And so this tool will get the screws out, and every other time I've tried to do it without that tool, I just end up drilling them out, because there's no way to get them out otherwise. So here's the car. I just used my standard jack. I did put the emergency brake on in the back, so the car's not going to go anywhere. And then I just do one side at a time. And so So I'll get the car up in the air just using the standard jack, and I'll get the tire off, and we'll look at the tire, make sure it's flat, wearing it good, and we'll go from there. So here we got the tire off, so you can see that the tire's wearing nice. These tires are really expensive, so I definitely want to make sure that they're wearing evenly. Right over here you can tell that they're starting to wear a little bit on the inside. So the car probably needs an alignment. It's been about, I don't know, 6 or 8 months since I've done it. These tires are really, like I said, really expensive. They're about $130 a piece, so very, very expensive tires, but they will go anywhere. They will take this car anywhere that I need it to go in the snow and the rain. The best all-season tires you can buy. So definitely worth the money if you have it. I did, and I'm happy with it. So here's the car. So we're going to jump up on the jack stand. Here's those screws that I was talking about, right here and right here. And this car was mostly serviced at the dealership before I got it, so this is his first time I'm going to be doing the brakes on this car. This is the CV axle nut right here. You won't be undoing that. You see my oil filter, that blue thing right there. The upper control arm, you'll want to make sure that this is tight. I just had my car inspected, so everything should be nice and tight. The strut right here, inside the coil. Inside the coil here. So everything looks pretty good. It's not leaking any power steering fluid. If you're leaking power steering fluid, usually you'll see it right here on the bottom of the boot. This is the boot and it goes to it. And that's pretty expensive to fix. It's called the rack and pinion. It's about $500 just for the part. So usually on a car like this, probably about $300, but they usually average about $500. So first step to do is, this is the caliper right here. This is the caliper that squeezes the brakes. You need to get that off first, and you'll see this one bolt right here, and then there's one on the bottom over here. Don't undo this. This one right here with the rubber cap, that actually is your brake line, and you only use that if you're flushing them. And I just flushed my car not too long ago, so I don't need to do that. So this right here, these two bolts will go, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So we got the caliper off. It's right here. This is the caliper. I usually like to set it on this bar right here, so it kind of rests. You definitely don't want to. This is the brake line right here. You definitely don't want to tear that, or you'll end up leaking brake fluid. And brake fluid is pretty strong stuff. It'll take paint right off. So, as you can tell, I still got this bracket right here I need to take off. There's two bolts to that. Here's my old brake pads here, so they were getting pretty low. And I knew that because last year on my inspection report I got advised that they were low. And this year again I got advised. So, these have been out for, this one's got a little bit more on it. You can see this is the indicator. Sorry. This is the indicator where my thumb is. Back one had quite a bit more, and that's okay. It was getting pretty close, and so we definitely want to be safe. And it definitely saves, if you want to turn the rotors, it definitely saves the rotors, because once you start wearing out a pad, then they start digging into the rotors. Right here is the rotor. So start digging into there, and they start putting metal on metal, and they're done. So these two bolts right here held the caliper on. They're 14 millimeter, and this one, there's one right here. I don't know if you can see that one right here, and then one down here, right there. Those are the two bolts that we'll undo next. And also you want to look at your CV joint right there. Make sure it's not busted. If it is busted, then you need to fix it. There'll be grease all over in here. There's a lot of grease in those. There'll be grease all